Welcome back to Cold Signal. Last time, we exposed Operation Mockingbird. How the CIA transformed journalism into propaganda. But there's a question we never answered: what were they really protecting? In the Nevada desert, 83 miles northwest of Las Vegas, there's a place that doesn't officially exist. A place where America's deepest secrets are buried. A place where Operation Mockingbird came to life. This is Area 51. And its story begins not with UFOs, but with media manipulation. 1947, a rancher named Mac Brazel found something strange near Roswell, New Mexico. Metal debris. Strange symbols. The military arrived immediately, took everything, and told the press it was a weather balloon. But someone leaked the truth: it was a UFO. The story exploded. Newspapers screamed the headlines. Radio stations buzzed with alien theories. And then, suddenly, it all stopped. The military changed their story. Weather balloon. Nothing more. In reality, it was Project Mogul, a top-secret surveillance program designed to detect Soviet atomic tests. The CIA needed it hidden. And they knew exactly how to hide it, by flooding the market with alien stories. So ridiculous that nobody would believe the real truth. This is Operation Mockingbird in action. Frank Wisner, the man we exposed in our last episode, the architect of CIA media control, was already a master at this game by 1947. He understood a fundamental truth about human psychology: if you want to hide the truth, don't suppress it. Distract people with something more interesting. Aliens were far more interesting than secret military projects. So the CIA didn't deny the UFO stories. They encouraged them. They fed reporters false accounts. They planted documents. They created a mythology so compelling that it would dominate American consciousness. For decades, Area 51 became the center of this mythology. But Area 51 wasn't just a distraction tool. It was real. And what happened? There was extraordinary. In the 1950s, the US needed to test a new aircraft, the U-2 spy plane. It was so classified, so revolutionary, that it needed a place where no one could observe it. No Soviet satellites. No unauthorized witnesses. The CIA chose Area 51. It was remote. It was secure. And it was already famous, or infamous, for being the home of UFOs. The perfect cover. For years, pilots reported strange objects in the Nevada sky. Flying saucers. Mysterious lights. Impossible maneuvers. Those pilots weren't lying. They weren't hallucinating. They were seeing the U-2 spy plane. A machine so advanced, so unlike anything in the sky at that time, that it genuinely looked like a UFO. The altitude was wrong. The speed was wrong. The shape was wrong. It was alien, except it was made in America. But here's where Operation Mockingbird becomes crucial. When pilots reported these sightings, the CIA didn't say, "That's our spy plane. It's classified. Don't talk about it." Instead, they said, "UFOs. How fascinating. Tell us everything. And then they published those accounts in magazines and newspapers. They encouraged Hollywood to make UFO movies. They allowed researchers to document UFO sightings. All of this fed a massive distraction campaign. The American public was obsessed with aliens from outer space, while above their heads, a real technological revolution was happening. A revolution that would change the balance of power during the Cold War. The U-2 flew for years without being detected. It showed American leadership that we had complete surveillance dominance over Soviet territory. That knowledge gave us confidence in nuclear diplomacy. It gave us leverage. And nobody knew about it because we were all looking at the sky, waiting for little green men. But the CIA's control of this narrative was about to face a serious test. In 1960, a U-2 pilot named Gary Powers was shot down over the Soviet Union. Suddenly, Area 51 wasn't secret anymore. The world knew about the U-2 spy plane. The question became, how would America respond? President Eisenhower faced a crisis. A spy plane had been shot down. The Soviets had the evidence. A pilot was in their custody. This was the moment of truth. And here's where Operation Mockingbird proved its value. The CIA had spent over a decade cultivating relationships with journalists, editors, and media executives. Now they called in those favors. The media narrative was carefully controlled. Some outlets reported the incident as an accident. Others emphasized American technological superiority. Still others questioned Soviet accounts. The story was fragmented, confusing, and ultimately managed in ways that protected American credibility. Compare this to what would have happened without Operation Mockingbird. Without CIA plants in the media, journalists would have simply reported the facts. But with CIA assets in key positions, the narrative was shaped. It was controlled. And throughout all of this, the UFO mythology around Area 51 never disappeared. Even after the U-2 was revealed, people continued to report UFO sightings there. The CIA never corrected the record. They never said, that wasn't a UFO, that was our plane. Because as long as people believed in UFOs at Area 51, they wouldn't look too carefully at what else was happening there. And Area 51 became home to real secrets. The A-12. The State Route 71 Blackbird. The stealth fighter. Drone technology. Hypersonic aircraft. Each new generation of classified technology needed a cover story. And the UFO mythology provided the perfect cover. By the 1990s, Area 51 had become an icon of government secrecy. Conspiracy theorists, UFO enthusiasts, and genuine researchers all converged on the desert. They built a mythology so thick, so detailed, so emotionally resonant, that most people couldn't separate truth from fiction anymore. Area 51 became a place where anything seemed possible. Alien autopsies. Advanced technology. Secret government experiments. And the government? They said nothing. The silence itself became proof. This is the genius of Operation Mockingbird applied to its ultimate form. You don't need to control the narrative anymore. You just let people create their own narratives. You let them argue with each other. You let the truth become buried under mountains of conflicting conspiracy theories. In the end, the public couldn't tell what was real and what wasn't. And that was exactly the point. The real work at Area 51, the actual technological development, the real classified research, continued in perfect secrecy, hidden not by government propaganda, but by public confusion. When everyone is talking about aliens, nobody is asking about hypersonic aircraft. When UFO researchers are arguing about Roswell, actual security threats go unnoticed. When conspiracy theorists are focused on Area 51 secrets, they're not paying attention to the secrets being kept at other black sites. This is the legacy of Operation Mockingbird, not just controlling what people think, but making them unable to think clearly about anything. So what is Area 51 really? It's a test facility. It's a training ground. It's a secure location for classified aerospace development. It's where the U-2 was tested. Where the stealth fighter was perfected. Where drone technology was pioneered. Is there alien technology there? Almost certainly not. Is there advanced human technology that the government wants to keep secret? Absolutely. And that's the real story that Operation Mockingbird has kept from the American people. Not the existence of UFOs, but the existence of technological capabilities that would change geopolitics if revealed. Not aliens, but American innovation so advanced that it seems alien. We ended our last episode with a question: how much of what we believe is what we're actually meant to believe? Area 51 is the answer. It's a monument to the power of media manipulation. A place where truth and fiction became so intertwined that nobody could separate them anymore. And the government didn't have to hide the truth. They just let us bury it ourselves. This is Cold Signal. We'll be back with the real stories the mainstream media won't tell. The stories they can't tell.